On April 24, 2025, the serene landscape of Pahalgam, a picturesque town nestled in the Himalayas, was shattered by a brutal terrorist attack. Militants, suspected to be affiliated with the Lashkar-e-Taiba, stormed a convoy of Hindu pilgrims, leaving 26 dead and scores injured. The attack sent shockwaves through India, with fingers immediately pointed towards Pakistan, a familiar foe often accused of harboring and supporting anti-India militant groups. The attack on innocent civilians was a grim reminder of the volatile security situation that has plagued the region for decades. India's response was swift and multifaceted. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, known for his hardline stance against terrorism, accused Pakistan of orchestrating the attack. He vowed a befitting reply, raising fears of a military escalation. India swiftly shut down the Wagah-Attari border crossing, the only land route between the two nations, effectively halting all trade and movement. Visas issued to Pakistani nationals were revoked, and diplomatic missions were scaled back. In a move that signaled the gravity of the situation, India also hinted at revisiting the Indus Water Treaty, a decades-old agreement governing the sharing of water resources from the Indus River system. Pakistan, however, vehemently denied any involvement in the Pahalgam attack. Prime Minister Imran Khan labeled it a false flag operation designed to malign Pakistan and provide India with a pretext for aggression. He warned that any military action by India would be met with a befitting response, raising the specter of a full-blown war between the nuclear-armed neighbors. Pakistan appealed to the international community to intervene and de-escalate the situation, urging them to rein in India's belligerence. The international community watched with bated breath as tensions escalated. The Pahalgam attack served as a stark reminder of the deep-seated mistrust and animosity that has characterized India-Pakistan relations for decades. The attack, and the subsequent war of words, threatened to unravel the fragile peace that had been precariously maintained, pushing the two countries closer to the brink of conflict. The specter of war loomed large, casting a long shadow over the entire region. To comprehend the gravity of the 2025 Pahalgam attack and its potential to ignite a wider conflict, one must delve into the labyrinthine history of India-Pakistan relations. The crux of the issue lies in the disputed region of Kashmir, a land of breathtaking beauty coveted by both nations since the partition of British India in 1947. This partition, marred by widespread violence and displacement, saw the creation of two independent nations, India and Pakistan, but also sowed the seeds of future conflict. The Kashmir conflict is rooted in the circumstances surrounding the 1947 partition. The princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, with a Muslim-majority population but ruled by a Hindu Maharaja, faced the dilemma of acceding to either India or Pakistan. The Maharaja's initial indecision, followed by his decision to join India in the face of an armed incursion from Pakistan, triggered the first of three major wars between the two nations over Kashmir. The subsequent wars in 1965 and 1999 further entrenched the dispute and resulted in the Line of Control, LOC, becoming the de facto border dividing the region. The LOC, a heavily militarized and treacherous terrain, has been a constant flashpoint, witnessing regular ceasefire violations and skirmishes between Indian and Pakistani troops. Adding fuel to the fire is an indigenous insurgency in Indian-administered Kashmir, fueled by separatist sentiments and allegations of human rights abuses by Indian security forces. Pakistan's alleged support for these militant groups has been a major bone of contention, further poisoning relations between the two countries. In 2019, India's decision to revoke Article 370 of its constitution, which granted special status to Jammu and Kashmir, further inflamed tensions. The move, widely condemned by Pakistan, was seen as an attempt to alter the demographic balance of the region and consolidate India's control. The 2025 Pahalgam attack, therefore, unfolded against a backdrop of heightened tensions and deep-seated mistrust, making it a potential trigger for a wider conflict. The specter of war between India and Pakistan carries with it an added layer of complexity and danger: the possession of nuclear weapons by both nations. This sobering reality injects an element of existential threat into any potential conflict, raising the stakes considerably and prompting international concern. The 2025 Pahalgam attack and its aftermath saw both countries engaging in dangerous brinkmanship, testing each other's resolve and pushing the region closer to the precipice. Following the attack, India launched what it termed surgical strikes across the LOC, targeting alleged terrorist camps and infrastructure. While India claimed that the strikes were successful in neutralizing terrorists and disrupting their networks, Pakistan disputed these claims, asserting that the strikes caused minimal damage. The exchange of fire across the LOC, however, underscored the volatility of the situation and the ease with which even a limited military engagement could spiral out of control. The international community, acutely aware of the potential for catastrophic consequences, sprang into action to defuse the crisis. The United States, along with other major powers, urged both India and Pakistan to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities and a return to the negotiating table. However, these appeals for peace were met with entrenched positions and deep-seated mistrust, making a diplomatic solution elusive. Experts warned of the dangers of miscalculation and unintended escalation, particularly given the nuclear dimension of the conflict. Dr. Walter Ladwig, a senior lecturer in international relations at the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, cautioned that strikes between nuclear states are inherently dangerous and carry a high risk of mistakes or misinterpretations that could lead to an uncontrollable escalation. The situation remained precariously balanced, with the world holding its breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution. The 2025 Pahalgam attack had far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate security concerns. The breakdown in relations between India and Pakistan had a significant impact on their already limited economic ties, with both countries feeling the pinch of the trade suspension. The closure of the Wagah-Atari border crossing brought bilateral trade to a standstill, disrupting supply chains and impacting businesses on both sides. The suspension of trade had a particularly adverse effect on Pakistan's pharmaceutical industry, which relies heavily on imports of raw materials from India. The unofficial trade between the two countries, estimated to be worth billions of dollars annually, was also severely affected, with traders and businesses operating through third-country routes facing increased costs and logistical challenges. The economic fallout of the crisis highlighted the interconnectedness of the two economies, despite the political animosity. The long-term implications of the 2025 crisis remain uncertain. The Pahalgam attack and its aftermath have further deepened the chasm of mistrust between India and Pakistan, making the resumption of meaningful dialogue even more challenging. The Kashmir issue, the root cause of the conflict, continues to fester, with no easy solutions in sight. The presence of nuclear weapons adds another layer of complexity, making any future conflict potentially catastrophic. The international community faces the daunting task of mediating between two nuclear-armed adversaries with a long history of conflict. The path of peace in South Asia remains fraught with obstacles, but the pursuit of dialogue and reconciliation, however difficult, remains the only viable option to avert further bloodshed and instability. The world watches and waits, hoping that wisdom and restraint will prevail, preventing another devastating conflict in a region already scarred by violence.